Greetings, comrades. How are you, wherever you are? On Saturday, my comrades were laughing on me, those on Facebook, when they saw me doing a makeup before I went live on TV. Unfortunately, here we don't do makeup. We simply come as we are, natural. And what is interesting is that we had a discussion around makeup following what Kaya FM had said that less women are going out or more women are going out without makeup. This was in relation to the last 2 years where people have been wearing masks and suddenly masks are no longer a requirement in South Africa. So the question was then asked whether women are still putting up their makeup. So when I then was invited to a TV program, as usual, they do put a makeup. Comrades, I am Ngabuto Nicholas Mapena. Please like this YouTube channel, subscribe, like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, circulate to your friends. We are doing a brief discussion uh, on the waiver application. We titled the video waiver application update. When I was scrolling through the internet after being alerted by a comrade that there was a discussion on Kaya FM today about the application of ZEP and the waiver. So I had to scan the internet to check what the discussion was all about. Then I came across this article. It says, the headline says, Home Affairs Department argued to drop a work visa requirement for Zimbabweans. This article is on, if you Google it, that's ewn.co.za. That's where the article is. So just Google that article and read what it says. But what is of interest in this article is the last paragraph. Is the last paragraph because the entire article they've been interviewing holders of ZEP, their challenges of applying for other visas as directive by the South African cabinet last year in November. One person that they were interviewing was saying he has spent about 6,000 rands in applying for police clearance both in South Africa and in Zimbabwe. But the challenge is that the police clearance is about to expire, even though he has not yet submitted the application with the Department of Home Affairs. What drew my interest was the last paragraph in the article. It says, I quote, the Home Affairs Department said that it was processing more than 3,000 waiver applications, but some have also applied for the issuing of the labor certificate to be completely scrapped, close quote. We have been saying that the majority of holders of ZEP will not qualify. And on Saturday, when we were on Channel 45, we tried to explain who the holders of these ZEP permits are and the jobs that I said people are taking. For instance, we used this example, which is practical, that the majority of the middle class in South Africa, black middle class for that matter, they earn something like 20 to 25,000 rands per month. It's between 16,000 to 25,000 rands a month. Most of them, they work as civil servants, be teachers in South Africa and other jobs. So a person that then earns that is in that category will obviously either rent a townhouse in Midrand if he's in Johannesburg or pay a bond for something like 10,000, 12,000 rands a month. And then naturally, this person will have a motor vehicle, which is pre-owned, and they are paying whether 4,000, 5,000 rands per month. They have other expenses, school-going children, other bills that they are paying. So the 20,000 to 25,000 then is not really enough to meet the monthly needs of this civil servant. But this civil servant also needs a domestic worker. They will then not pay a domestic worker enough money. They will pay 2,500, particularly if it is a stay in. So we're explaining this on Saturday to say these are the people that then employ migrants, many of whom are ZEP holders, because it will be a stay in. A person will only visit their country of origin or Zimbabwe once a year. There are people that have not been to Zimbabwe in the last 2 years because of the lockdown. So these people are then paid 2,000 workers. They are then paid 2,500 or even less by the middle class. So these are the holders of special permits. And when we're saying people are taking other people's jobs, it might not be necessarily correct, because the reason being, when you earn between 20 to 25,000 rands a month, you have a domestic worker, you deduct money, the payment of that worker from your salary. It is different from a business. If you are running a business where you pay a worker based on the profits that accrue from the business, but here you take home 20,000. And in that 20,000, after attending or paying your own bills, you then need to pay your domestic worker. Some of these people who do not have domestic workers, they take their kids to what is called a child care center, where they will leave their kids there. There are people that work in these child care centers. Many are migrants, holders of ZEP. Uh, because the parents of these children are not the top earners. They are making class or even in the low bracket. They don't pay much in the daycare center. So the person that works in the daycare center is naturally paid less. So we were trying to explain this on Saturday that in the discourse that we have had in the last 2 years or so, we have not narrowed it to analyze this aspect, because it's like the argument out there is like MTN or Coca-Cola or these big companies, South African breweries, is employing migrants, therefore paying them little money so that they maximize profit. Yes, it happens. We don't deny that it happens. But we have also not analyzed this other, the middle class in South Africa, to say they need to take their kids to the daycare center while they are selling their labor or labor power. They need to have a domestic worker at home who they've got to pay. So when this worker is then asked to apply for a waiver to prove that there's no South African who can do this job, naturally this person will not apply. So this is why this article, which was published today, I've given you the website. If you Google, it says EWN .co.za. It speaks about these issues, because at the end, the last paragraph which I quoted says Department of Home Affairs says it has processing 3,000 applications for a waiver out of 172,000, because holders of ZEP are said to be 172,000. And the other issue which is linked to this is the labor certificate, because you have to apply for the labor certificate. And the ZEP applicants, what they are simply asking is that the Department of Home Affairs must scrap some of these stringent requirements so that they are able to apply for to move to other visas, because at the moment it is difficult to do so. So we hope that as engagements continue, as we continue to analyze on who the holders of ZEP are, we will be able, therefore, to or the Department of Home Affairs, South African government, might able to review its position on this. There's a comrade who has written here. Comrade Stephen Chitangwara says, "Hi, Mr. Mapena. I haven't heard you talk about business waivers for ZEP permits. What is the process?" We did discuss the business permit. There is a video that we recorded. Comrade Stephen, we said in the Immigration Act says when you're applying for a business visa, you have to prove that you have 5 million rands that you are bringing in the country as part of investment. But because you have already been in South Africa for over a decade or so, running a business, what you need to prove and submit to the department is that your company assets are worth about 5 million rands or thereabout. You need to provide your annual turnover. What is your annual turnover? Are you compliant, paying taxes, everything? Do you employ South Africans? Assuming your business then it closes, how many workers are going to be affected by closing down of your business? And of course, you have to apply that the Department of Labor and Industry will come and inspect your premises to check if indeed your business contributes to the South African economy. If the Department of Trade and Industry think that it contributes to the South African economy, they will then waiver the requirement of you bringing outside the 5 million. They will have to check your annual turnover, the assets of your company, and so on. Then they will clear you. Then you apply for a business visa. That's what we understand at the moment. But what we have discovered is that someone runs a company, maybe it's only one person, is a consultant or something, he has got a vehicle in their name, not in the company's name. They've got a house in their name. When we ask them to say, what's the value of your company in terms of assets, then the person will start listing assets which are personal assets, not company assets. And we've been trying to explain to say this is different. You need to have your company assets and your own personal assets. So we need to differentiate. So I'm sure I'm answering you, Comrade Stephen, on that. Comrade Nomagugu Nkau, morning. I'm not sure there's still morning in this part of Johannesburg. It's afternoon. It is cold, though today is better. Comrade Nkosana Nkala says, ngokubona kwakho mnumzana, kuzokwenzeka manje akukho umuntu osethole i-waiver, kubalekile ukuyifuna okwamanje. Comrade Nkosana Nkala is asking if it is possible to get a waiver and whether others have already received waivers. I've referred you to the article. If you just joined, you will replay this YouTube. This video is going to remain here, but I've quoted what was being discussed on Kaya FM this morning. I was alerted by one comrade. Then I had to search the internet and came across this article which I've referred to you, and it says Home Affairs says it is processing 3,000 waiver applications. They are not mentioning in the article how many they've granted. I've seen others. If you are in our Telegram chat group, there are other comrades that they've told us that they've received in, their waiver, or their application has been successful. Those who applied for a waiver, there are very few, of course, that have been showing us in our Telegram chat group. If you are not in our Telegram chat group, drop me a WhatsApp. I will add you. You will know my number is 083 340 1000. So after this show, I will certainly send you a link so that you join our Telegram chat group. Some questions, we address them in the Telegram chat group and on Facebook. Comrade Japheth Machoa says, good morning, Mr. Mapena. We really appreciate your guidance in genuineness in informing. Thank you so much, Comrade Japheth. I'm humbled. Comrade Constance Ndlov says, good morning to you, Mr. Mabena, and everyone who's listening to your live chat. No, thanks so much. Thank you so much. We wish that those that are holders of ZEP and they're applying to move to other visas would be able to do so, and that cabinet might, or the Department of Home Affairs might review its position, because according to this article, they are also being asked by some applicants to remove the requirement for a labor certificate, because the challenge that we have had is that some, like artisans, should belong to a professional body in South Africa. And to belong to this professional body, there are processes. You don't just like today apply to be a member of a professional body and then your application is granted. They have a timetable on when to write exams. Some write exams every March, only once a year. So it becomes a bit difficult for people to belong to the professional bodies. So it's a process. It is not difficult, but it is a process. So when you are chasing 31st December and you are organizing your papers to belong, to apply so that you are a member of a professional body, so that when you apply, you submit that proof, it becomes a bit difficult. Comrade Gugulethu writes, afternoon Mr. Mabena, mina ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi nxa ushadwe yindoda ye-South Africa u-aplya kuphi. Ngicela inamba yakho ye-WhatsApp. We have dealt with this question that you apply at Home Affairs, you need to attach a marriage certificate. I've given you my number 083 340 1000. You need to so submit your merit certificate. And we also did a video where we're advising you about the interviews that have been done if you want to get married to a South African or to a person who's on PR. If you check, we did a video in this YouTube channel. I've sent Comrade Jackson, my number is there. Thanks, Comrade T. Manguba. Comrade Kukuletu, thanks. Yeah, comrades, it's a Monday. Thank you so much, comrades. So we continue assisting where possible, and we are happy that other progressive South Africans are joining in assisting holders of ZEP. This, though, does not mean that these progressive South Africans are insensitive to the high unemployment in South Africa. No, not at all. They are doing this because they understand that the holders of ZEP have been part of the economy for over a decade. And they also understand that these are vulnerable workers. Like we've been explaining, that many of these are people of low skin who are working mainly as a domestic worker. If you speak to comrades that are in the domestic workers trade union or the trade union that organizes in this sector, it is difficult to organize. Unlike when you're organizing people that work in a restaurant, it is also difficult to inspect if there's compliance by the employer, because it means you have to move from one house to the other to check if indeed the person that works there is documented. It's actually very difficult. Then employers take advantage of that, because the department will not have enough personnel to visit every home. Just count how many houses we have in Johannesburg alone, to start visiting those, to check if the people that are working there are documented and that the employer is compliant in employing people that are legal. It is very difficult. So these are workers that then get exploited, because the employer will say, I'm keeping you in my house, you don't go out. If you want something in the shops, give me your money, I will buy for you, because if you go out, you are going to be arrested because you don't have papers. So we're going back to slavery. So the progressive South Africans understand this, to say we cannot allow in a democratic South Africa where workers are treated like slaves, they are kept at their workplace, they do not go out because they are always threatened with arrest by the South African police and the immigration department. Comrade Johannes Munyangwa says, waiver letter from Home Affairs, please, my boss, want to see it. Uh, uh, I don't have the waiver later, but I've said I was responding to an article that was written, which I've given to you. But otherwise, you will know that there's a letter that was written to you, Comrade Johannes. And then Comrade Ncube Mbongeni says, afternoon, I just saw an article about Home Affairs saying they are dropping some requirements on general work visa. Is it true? That's the article, Comrade Ncube Mbongeni, that you are discussing. Comrade Constance Ndlovu says, mina ngisebenza ku-company yokuklina, Mr. Mabena, so angazi kumbe ngilinde nami nabasebenza ukuklina ezindlini, ngicela ungichazele, I'm really worried. This is exactly, Comrade Constance, what we are discussing, that people that work as domestic workers, who are the majority of ZEP holders, by the way, are the most affected. And I was saying, even on Saturday on Channel 405, Newsroom Africa, if you watched, I was saying, we have not analyzed in terms of who the holders of ZEP are and the jobs that they are doing. We simply took a populist view to say holders of ZEP are taking people's jobs, therefore putting pressure on the South African government not to renew, without really analyzing. This is why we even spoke about the middle class that earns about 20,000, but they either need a domestic worker, or they place their kids in a daycare center where they pay very little, because most daycare centers are not supported by government. And the people that then work to look after their kids while they are also at work are migrants who are on ZEP. And these are ZEP holders who are now told not to, or to move to other visas, and they will not be able to move to other visas. Professor Moyo says, can you share the details of the article regarding the waiver? The article said, just Google ewn.co.za. Just Google that. The article, it's is titled Home Affairs Department argued to drop a work visa requirement for Zimbabweans. That's the title of the article. So just to Google that, you'll get it. Comrade Fiona Fifi, sawubona baba uMabhena, i-relatives visa yenziwa ngumuntu oleminyaka emingaki. As long as you're above 18, you apply for a relative visa. And you are applying on your own because you are an adult, but the child, you apply on behalf of your child to join you in the visa or permit that you are using. Comrades, I'm sure we've dealt with your questions and we've explained what we thought it was important that we inform you. Then the other issues that were happening, we'll talk about in a different platform. I know the Zimbabwean Minister of Finance has been presenting a statement. We will follow that and talk about that in a different platform. Otherwise, have a great week ahead. I love you all, including those comrades, I won't name them, who will always write negative comments. I love you. It doesn't matter what to write, but know that I love you. We are all Africans. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Bye-bye.